Howdy, howdy. We are live on a Friday night with another backtracking retrospective. And I see there's already some people in the live audience. So, you can even talk about these real bizarre, wacky episodes of Trek, and the Trek audience will show up. So
maybe even more,
Yeah. I mean, I would be curious if I heard people talking about the Jihad of the animated series. So with the man who literally wrote the book on the animated series.
Co-wrote. Yes.
Yeah. One of two.
Most of the time I get it right. The co-author and designer.
Yes.
But,
I don't want to leave Rich out.
No. Who I've seen interviews with. He's delightful.
Yeah. Who we had on Tex-Trek a long time ago.
It was long ago.
But enough about the past. We are
this is the past.
I guess
enough about the past. Let's talk about this
23rd century. It's in the future. So but yeah. Folks are ready for us to go ahead and get started. I'm Fathery.
I'm Joel.
I'm Aaron.
And this is Tex-Trek.
Engage.
Welcome back aboard the Starship Texas for the 330th installment of the Tex-Trek podcast, the home of Star Trek fandom from deep in the heart of Texas, where we take a deep look at Star Trek, old and new. Tonight, we are talking about Star Trek, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 6, The Jihad, written by Stephen Kandel and directed by Hal Sutherland, like the rest of the animated series, Season 1.
Yes.
But this is going to be a fun conversation. Like I said last week when we were discussing the assignment from Deep Space Nine, here's an episode that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but there's certainly, I think, a lot in there to have discussions about. So starting with the title, like we would not call a piece of media that today, probably. But definitely a lot to unpack, and I got some news, some announcements and stuff, so I want to get into all of that in just a moment. Just real quickly, as always, I need to start things off with a huge thank you and shout out to the wonderful members of the Tex-Trek Patreon who make our weekly show possible. I'm joined by two of them right now, but thank all of y'all so much. Starfleet Sohel, Cake is Eternal, Crazy Dutchie, Joanne Robertson, John Dot, Geek Filter, Quarks Bar, Stephanie Durantes, Matthew Averett, Braxton, Chuck A, Joel Vallis, Benjinium, Arthur Lamoureux, our associate producer, Chris Garris, Dave Farabee, Dave A. Gregory, and our anonymous supporters. And if you're watching us live on Friday, you are in luck, because tomorrow, Saturday, May 17th, at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, we will have our monthly Patreon watch party. We're watching the Deep Space Nine episode, The Die is Cast. And also we have another watch party going on Sunday, because if you support on the bridge crew level or higher, we will throw additional parties for your birthday. And Aaron has selected a double feature for us. So Aaron, if you want to remind us what two episodes of one of your favorite Star Trek shows, Voyager, we're watching.
Yeah, this morning I was like, what are those episodes? Because I knew somebody would ask me. It's Tinker, Tailor, Dr. Spy, or Soldier Spy. Is that what it is?
It has Doctor in it, yeah.
Oh yeah, Tinker, Tailor, Dr. Spy, and Critical Care. Probably watch Critical Care first, because it's a little bit more of the, I wouldn't say downer, but a little more serious.
Yeah. End on a happier note. So I'm looking forward to those. And again, the Patreon, the monthly watch parties, $2 a month to get into those. If you can afford to be more generous, there's additional perks as well, like these birthday watch parties, which we do a little different now. Those are going to be open to the public, so anyone can come to those. But the typical monthly
you didn't
watch
ask me.
party.
No.
Yeah, everyone
That's
but
a person
Aaron.
who's at their birthday. Exactly.
Well, yeah, with Aaron can stand as the bouncer, like the
I
member
was
of the
kidding.
Elm 3 Green species did in
Oh,
Lower
yeah.
Decks.
Folds all his arms, all 6 of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, he'll let Shelby in, but not Freeman.
Yeah.
But speaking of getting into to cool things, I want to talk about the convention Trek Long Island, which we're giving away tickets to. So that's going to be at the end of the show. But I have some more announcements on that. Just quickly, we finally have a release date for Strange New Worlds, July 17th. So from July 17th until September 11th, we'll have new episodes of Strange New Worlds. It's going to be a 2-episode premiere in July, and we'll be covering those weekly here on Tex-Trek on Fridays. And before we get to that release date, we're actually going to plan some backtracking retrospectives focusing on some TOS episodes that I think are going to be especially relevant, maybe even a TAS episode. Aaron, we talked a little bit behind the scenes about an episode of TAS we might want to watch before Stranger World season 3.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to starting that just in a couple of weeks. I will actually be in attendance of the Trek Long Island convention. So next week on the show, we're actually going to have, I hope I get her name right. If not, she can correct me next week. But Stephanie Gangoni, the person who started Trek Long Island 3 years ago, she's a librarian, and the convention is a whole nonprofit operation that does a lot of good work. I'll talk to her more about that next week. But if anyone has any questions about that convention, please be sure to let me know, and I can ask her Friday when we have her on the show live. And about that giveaway, we have 2 full weekend passes that we're giving away tonight live at the end of the show. All you have to do to enter is just email me at fatheryactual@text-trek.com with the subject line Trek Long Island and include your full name in the body of the email, and you'll be entered to win. I'm going to select one of those later, so you could still email in. You still have a chance to win. I just got a notification that I got an email, so maybe that was someone entering just now.
That comes with full transportation, right?
Well, unfortunately,
we
can't provide
if somebody on the
the
West Coast, it would be a little hard to get there.
Yeah, we can't provide we can't beam you there, but there's plenty of stuff that happens on the West. You can win tickets for an East Coast friend though, if you
that's true. Yeah,
in the area.
I got a pop up too just now for about Tribbles. It's like every episode that the Tribbles have ever appeared in on Soap Central. So that's weird. Anyway, it popped up at the same time you said you got one.
And to even make this giveaway even sweeter, our associate producer, Chris Garris, his show, The Transporter Room, which everyone should be checking out. He does a lot of really cool interviews on there. But Chris Garris's show is sponsoring Trek Long Island. And he also has 2 tickets to give away. So we're actually there's going to be 2 lucky winners tonight. We're going to give away 2 sets of 2 tickets to 2 different people later at the end of the show. So if you want in on that, you have about an hour and 15 minutes or so to send an email and get in the running for it. Did I cover all the important stuff? Strange New Worlds is coming to Paramount Plus July 17th. Sounds like Prodigy is leaving Netflix.
Yes, I know season 3, which at this point is not a surprise, but
what is a surprise is what we heard today, possibly.
Yes, the new news is
about a possible animated series or animated shorts or something.
Yes, it like all of the animated announcements, I think it's all very odd what they say at first, and then you're not quite sure. So it's like, what?
And we also don't know how much of it is accurate.
But we said that about Prodigy and Lower Decks. We didn't say it's terrible. We said it was like, that sounds very odd. I don't know if that'll work. So I won't say it's going to be bad, and I have faith of the heart, I guess. But but still, just very little to that announcement, other than it's probably aimed lower age group than Prodigy.
But it's all unofficial. It's all just a leak with no official word about anything. So
and then their site completely timed out. So I don't know if that was just too many people going there or what happened.
I saw it. The story was picked up by others later. So I saw another one posted eventually, but I don't know. It's still up in the air.
But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. But as for the Jihad, so this is an episode that I know Joel and some other members of our audience are super familiar with.
Yes.
Because of our dear friend who's in the live audience now, Starfleet Sohel. Joel, I don't know if you want to explain why don't you tell us why you're so familiar with this episode?
Well, Starfleet Sohel was, of course, going through and having animated series episodes, just like he'd done for TNG and then TOS.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, the new ones. He'd been doing the ones for the new episodes too. So, we started with the first one, and then we kept going, and then so we thought next week we were going to do the Jihad. It was the next episode. So everyone watched it. Well, everyone is like some other people in the chat group. And then, it was delayed next week because, things happen. You do a show, things get delayed. It's no problem. And then we did
I woke up really
week.
early on Saturday morning for that. Was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, because Aaron, of course, was on all those episodes, as was Father. He was almost on all of them too, I think. But so then the third week, I watched it again because I wanted it to be fresh in my mind, and because it's a really good episode too. I like it, and then it just kept going on for months, and I was just like, I'm just gonna watch this every week until so I don't fall behind on my things I want to type in the chat and bring up and everything. So
you should be the expert at this point.
I maybe I am. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. I didn't co-write any books about it, but no, I don't think I'll do that. So it was pretty much, it was just like, I would just watch it every week. I mean, it goes by fast. I mean, TAS is 25 minutes. And especially ones like this, or like the Slaver Weapon, which are just dense with plot. They're just, if you get distracted and you look back, you're like, oh, it's not just the time, it's the plot has just oh, they're already there. And then, so yeah, I would just watch this and think about it and all of the weird Lord of the Rings role-playingness of it, and the things that look like circus tents, and and so thanks to Sohel not having, he eventually did have the show, and it was wonderful, but because it was delayed so much, I got to see this. I watched this every week for I don't know how long, but 18 years or something like that, but probably not, but it seemed like it. So yes, I've seen this probably more than any other Trek episode, which is I don't know, saying a lot. Some of them I've seen a lot, especially TOS ones, which I would just watch every night at 6, no matter what. So
yeah, we did that with you had TOS every night, and when TNG went into reruns, we started having.
But there's
TOS,
just so
TNG.
many more TNGs that it's 1/3 is less often, right? But,
yeah. I always feel like I'm so familiar with the original series, just because for a long time it was such
79 episodes,
a short live action show. But in case people out there have not seen this 47,000 times, like Joel has,
47.
I'll recap the episode by reading the synopsis I grabbed off of Memory Alpha, but it reads, the Vedala, the oldest known spacefaring race, summon Kirk and Spock to recover the soul of Skorr, a stolen religious artifact that has the potential to ignite a holy war across the galaxy. And yeah, we get a kind of a cosmic treasure hunt, kind of some Indiana Jones type stuff. It's always felt very like D&D RPG to me, but some colorful alien characters, and the group even though they have to deal with some betrayal there at the end, which I guess adds a little drama, have to deal with the volcanic lava, which Gene Roddenberry, I'm sure, was happy about. We can talk more about that. But yeah, eventually they save the day, they prevent the Holy War, and they all have their memories erased by the Vedala cat people. Or at least we're told that's what happened.
Maybe Spock still remembers. He's a good one.
But Joel, do you have anything else to say about like your thoughts on the Jihad, just largely broadly speaking, before we get into the episode breakdown? You have anything else you want to say for your opening statement on this episode?
It also seems kind of ahead of its time. This episode seems like a post-Star Wars cartoon. As in, introduce all these characters and a cool vehicle, which you could make action figures of. You don't see
They never did.
But you know, just like Star Wars, it wouldn't matter. You know, you can make an action figure. They appear once, you can make an action figure. You can make this cool vehicle, that the thing they go around in. And of course, they weren't doing any of that. I mean, they had, you know, Mego, but they weren't going to do all these characters in that. And none of them
That
were.
car was very toyetic, though. It's like,
it was. Because you could fit,
cool.
It was open, not like a real vehicle where you'd be enclosed, but you could put the action figures in it really easy. And yeah, so it was sort of strangely prophetic to what would come later in Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, especially He-Man. Right? And in addition to the weirdness of the plot, there's just this weird little thing about how you could just, I hope Nacelle Company does really well and we get an action figure for every one of these guys.
We're getting Bem.
Yeah, I know we're getting Bem.
Yeah,
and if we keep buying action figures, he said he's not going to stop until he gets to the 4-digit serial numbers. So
I would love to see that happen.
We always thought that Bem would make a good like stuffed animal with Velcro that you could like take the pieces apart and put them in, like little kids.
You know how some action figures they will include pieces to make a new action figure. Like you buy one character and you get an arm. You buy another character, you get a leg. That'd be a good one for that. But
or like how Nog just came with, you know, ROM or whatever it was.
Aaron, why don't you give us your opening statement? Tell us your broad thoughts on the Jihad.
I've always liked this episode just because it does feel like a D&D campaign or something. It's not setting up a series, but it could in some ways. Like the characters are all being introduced, and I thought it was cool because you get to see different races and get a little bit more information on them, a little bit, but and it felt like it was an adult story. That's what I liked as a kid. It's like, okay, they're not being pandering. And as I got older, I realized there's a part of the plot that doesn't make sense that I had to kind of work out. And when I was working on Star Trek Adventures, we had to have Spock be the one who remembered because we decided it was the Vedala did not take into account his half human, half Vulcan, whatever. So not all of the memory engrams got erased. Also, in the book, he tells them to go immediately to his quarters and make a log. So it's like they'll have a log.
Thinking.
Yeah. But no, so I think it was really cool. It's one of those episodes that it's short, but it does feel like it's got more to it than 24 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And just visually, like behind me, like just the weird planet. And you always said it was a circus tent, and I always thought it was like, oh, they're tenting for termites in the
very similar
whatever they're holding. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought circus tent, but I wonder if it was supposed to be kind of like crystal-like. It kind of has kind of like almost.
I think that's what it's supposed to be.
The top of a Tholian's head is kind of shaped that way, you know.
Yeah,
it's such a weird Star Trek shape to describe another weird Star Trek shape. It's almost kind of like using a definition.
Take a left at the building that looks like a Tholian's head.
Yeah, it's almost like I was using a word within the definition of itself or whatever. The thing you're not supposed to do, but I'm with you, Aaron. I have always liked this episode a lot. I don't know if I can say it's a great episode, but it's one that I've always like if I'm ever rewatching the animated series, this is one of the ones that I really look forward to. It's in like my top 3 or 4, right up there with the Magic Semagus 2 and the Slaver Weapon in Yesteryear.
It's the ones with the problematic names that are so good. I don't know why.
But the part that I've always liked about it is it reminds me more of a lot of the 80s and I guess like later 70s animations that like I grew up watching as a kid. Like stuff like y'all were mentioning with He-Man. There's a lot of He-Man vibes in here.
Actually, there's a lot of Star Trek vibes in He-Man. But
I think
that's true. That's true. But also like it's kind of like Herculoids. I don't know, like these, like this band of colorful creatures on this like barren wasteland with like a interesting,
they could have been a spin-off
backgrounds.
like
some of the characters,
like an A-team kind of thing where they go around and help.
Yeah,
some of the characters could be in Thundar too. They would look exactly like Thundar characters.
Yep.
And those are created by Jack Kirby, the original designs. So.
Bob did some storyboarding for that too.
It would be so fun to run a Star Trek RPG with this premise of like, oh yeah, the Vedala are putting a team together. We got to go on this quest.
Someone might be writing a mission brief about that. I don't know who would be that.
That's why I always joke that it's Kitty Gandalf setting this up. It's like, here's your thief, go on an adventure, go to the Lonely Mountain and find the thing. And
some of the lack of information in our book is because Stephen Kandel was not around and there was no information. There was no press release. That was like the episode almost didn't happen. Like the Vedala set it up. But there's not supposed to be cats. There were supposed to be sloth. And I don't think the artists got the
It does
word.
not come across.
What I read was lemur, which I can kind of.
Oh, sorry, lemur. Yeah, not sloth. Lemur. You're correct.
I can almost see it, but it would never occur to me unless someone pointed it out to me.
Yeah, they are long like lemurs. They got that part, I think, longer than most cats. But
and I have lemurs on the mind anyways because I just binge watched for the first time the animated show Avatar: The Last Airbender, which was was really good. It was something that Taylor showed me since I've showed her so much Star Trek.
It was fun.
But I know it's a great show. I love it. Also streaming on Paramount Plus, so it's part of the Paramount family.
There you go.
But we can go ahead and get into our episode breakdown and just kind of go through the plot beat by beat and discuss it in more detail. Starting with the opening, the Enterprise has been summoned to rendezvous with the Vedala, but they're on like a traveling asteroid. Like is the idea that like they just had to like meet this asteroid on like its wherever its course is? That's just how the Vedala get around. We know that they're spacefaring, but they don't seem to leave the planetoid they're on.
If we're looking at stuff from the novelization, basically they sort of used up their solar system. So they've created these mobile asteroids. And one of the reasons they couldn't tell Kirk like where you were going on the surface of the asteroid is that the stuff around it, because very like just solid when you look at it at a distance, it's creating the light because there's no sun when it's flying through space. So whatever's around them is actually creating the light. So they can't really see well through it. So that was interesting.
And Aaron, I also learned from reading your book that the ships that we see here above their planet or planetoid or asteroid or whatever we call it, but these are a lot of the rejected ship designs from the first episode, Beyond the Farthest Star.
Yep.
It's always fun to look at these and try to match like which one of the characters we think, like who drives which one.
I was just going to say who. Yeah, we should do like a little quiz or something on Blue Sky.
Like the green one. The green one is probably Sword or M3 Green, either our lizard or our bug guy, right? So
I think maybe Sword.
Yeah,
M3 Green looks like the little yellow dot one. It just feels more. I don't know.
Yeah, or I don't even know if M3 Green drove himself there because when Kirk and Spock beamed down to the meeting, they make it sound like M3 Green as a thief, like part of his like punishment is having to go on this. It's kind of like a Amanda Waller Suicide Squad, you know?
Yep.
It's kind of like that.
The book talks about that a little bit more, but yeah, exactly.
You're gonna do missions for us, or to tie it back to Trek, like Kovich does to Maul at the end of Star Trek Discovery, when he's like, "You're gonna work for me now." But we jump into the action pretty quick with the council that the Vedala, the cat that was supposed to be a lemur. I like the design of this creature, by the way. Just not the wardrobe is weird. It always looks like she's like this old cat lady in a diaper.
Well, you know,
I think the belt
uniforms.
I think Dr. April has the same belt later. Like they use that, like the star thing.
The same tailor. All right.
The same belt buckle.
Yep. There's a picture I'll post it of Madonna in an outfit doing some weird thing. It looks surprisingly like this.
I mean, maybe she was inspired by this episode.
Yeah.
But we meet Char, the prince of the Skorr. He's part of our team. Master of the Eerie. We have M3 Green, the bug guy. He's the thief and the lockpick. Lara, the hunter, and Sword, the lizard man. Not a Gorn. You know, we talk about there are so many cat aliens and bird aliens that show up in animated Star Trek, but there's a lot of lizard aliens too, like a lot.
Yep. And yeah,
lizard / dinosaur kind of related.
And the reason why everyone is summoned is because Char's species, the Skorr, are descendants of a great warrior race, and because someone has stolen their most prized artifact, it might trigger them to start a new war, to start what the episode calls a jihad, but a holy war. It's like the Skorr Jesus. They're Kalis. They're Sorak, they're the founder of their like more peaceful civilization. His brain patterns were copied into an artifact they call the Soul of Alar, and it has been stolen, which will trigger a war unless this team of characters can retrieve it and get it back before anyone finds out.
I do like his little like thing when he says Alor, he does this weird hand motion.
Alor.
It's hard to do on camera. I was trying to do it. It was like, it's not going to show up on camera.
But
it kind of
I appreciate when
me of like
alien
Surak
races have like weird hand motions. I think that's great.
Yeah, of all the people in this episode, Char's probably the most animated of all of them.
Yeah.
He's the most expressive, and he does a lot of action stuff. That TAS was very economical with if they had to really pick and choose who's going to get to move a lot.
Yeah, M3 Green doesn't really do much, but
what's interesting is in the book that this place that they're at is sort of a dome inside of the asteroid, because they're such a private people that they didn't want them basically to even be exposed to their air. Which is weird, given that the Vedala is the one who's asking them for help.
They'll steal
so this is
air.
like a little. No, it was more like, we just don't want you to be, any bacteria or anything like that. It was like more medical, but it was still, anyway.
Well, given like how good like satellite imagery is these days, like I don't blame a society who wants to like live underground. If they want to be kind of private and keep to themselves, but. The first time this episode like really like cracks me up is like when we see the Vedala roar to activate their little holographic image. When they're trying to explain, oh yeah, you're gonna have to go to the mad planet, and then just like roar to like activate it. But we find out about this planet that it sounds pretty extreme. Like the temperature ranges between 20 Kelvin and 204 Kelvin, which would be like super cold.
No.
Yeah.
Kelvin is 273 negative Celsius. So it's not quite, I don't think it's that cold. They got something wrong there, but it is very cold and gets very hot. We can agree on that,
like I was saying, like, TAS kind of economical on the animation, but to turn on the hologram, it's a roar. And then when the Vedala lady is ready to beam them to the mad planet, or however they're transported there, we don't really know like how far away they are from this planet. So the Vedala are really advanced. They have like some crazy technology. You roar to turn on your hologram, and then you like I Dream of Genie move where you like cross your arms and nod your head or something, and that beams them away.
I can't do the bewitched nose, so
in what is it, Lorelei signal, they had that activate their computer. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, the weird feminine singing to control their
I think it was
technology.
Nichelle Nichols doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's like Nichelle, just go like sing some weird shit. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just give us 2 or 3 takes. Let's talk about the arrival on the mad planet. The Vedala aren't able to go to this planet themselves, but they're able to like give them a vehicle. I guess like the trick is they couldn't put them exactly where the soul of Alar would be because the planet is constantly shifting and moving around.
I want to find out how that planet does that. That's actually pretty interesting, but weird.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe like a Q got drunk and designed this planet or something. You know,
It was
Or something
made
like-
with proto matter and Genesis device early version. So
Some kind
you
of
got a
like
lot of the same collapsing land things.
hyperplate tectonics or something like that, where it's like really, really floating on top of whatever magma core there is, and that's why there's so many volcanoes. And
but so what's everyone's role here in the group? They have Kirk and Spock because I guess like they're really smart and
well, they say Kirk's a good leader too, and he's adaptable. Spock they say the science. I mean, which makes sense. M3 Green is Bilbo. I mean, he's their thief.
Right. Yeah, he's the Bilbo Baggins. He's the burglar.
And then we have our tracker,
Laura.
Yeah, there's so many L names. And Sword is like the muscle. He's like the ground-based muscle.
Yeah,
he's
what you would call in a game. He's the tank.
He's the tank.
He's
fighter,
there to dish out damage.
And Skorr is obviously the one who could fly, so he can be, see from above.
And he's also there to know where this, he can recognize the soul or whatever.
Yeah.
And there had been 3 previous attempts to go on this mission. But we can assume that Char was not Char wasn't recruited in those. This is the first time he's been recruited.
Yeah.
They don't say exactly, I don't think.
Because none of them came back, so I'm guessing that if it would be weird if it was like, oh, it's the 3rd time he's come back and they're the other party's still dead. So I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's happened.
So I have a theory. Yeah, as Jill is talking about in our live audience, that Char is he's the surprise antagonist, and
surprise.
Of course, our characters don't know that yet, but I assume that he's just been hanging out here and he just deals with the previous 3 parties that came to try to get the soul back.
And maybe those parties weren't good against robot mini dragon.
Yeah, or like a 0G combat.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly he's trying to keep them away from it, so it's just sort of like, oh, it's so dangerous, and it's the Vedala aren't there, so they don't know that.
Yeah.
He probably set them up for failure.
But they're little ground vehicle. It's just like it's so weird and unexpected for Star Trek. I mean, I guess Star Trek Nemesis did something similar, but the vehicle they drive around, and it makes me think of a He-Man vehicle or like Thundercats. They had that tank thing that they rode in. So it's very much
feel
like
the plastic of the toy. Like it's so weird. It's like it's like the hollow kind of solid, but light.
Yeah, compared to the Aqua Shuttle, which just fits in with Star Trek shuttles and other stuff.
Yeah,
it's very
Well, this isn't Starfleet either,
makes
so
sense.
that's
You're
nice,
right.
actually.
Starfleet, but it's kind of Star Wars too. They have all those open top vehicles because they're
like Jill said, like a great toy to transport action figures because it's made it does that already. Oh, by the way, Father Ray, I have that Madonna image at some point. It's the Roar, actually.
Here we go.
I came in, it's like, wait, that the screen looks really familiar.
Sometimes Madonna transports people for quests. It's true.
I'm sorry, did I screw up the...
No, I can get it back.
Okay. I'll post it on Blue Sky afterwards, or anybody who's in the listening audience.
And their vehicle has, I guess they demonstrate the planet shifting around because the vehicle has like a track on the location of the soul, but then the tracker on the dashboard explodes when M3 Green tries to use it. So it's like, oh, Laura's like, it doesn't doesn't really matter. I have such a perfect sense of direction. Or what's her thing? Like, can she like lock on to an object and know how to get to it? Or
Like, I don't know. That was like, it's like, yeah, she has a sense of direction, but they don't know what direction they're going. I mean, like, they don't know where it is. She doesn't know where it is.
I took it be like she has a sense of direction, as in if she gets turned around, she won't get lost, or which way is north, or that sort of thing.
She gets them back to where they started.
But yeah, it doesn't tell you where the object is. She can't.
Yeah.
But like if the ground they're on starts moving, she has
she still knows
almost
where
like
they move to. Yeah.
Almost like a superhuman awareness of it. So
yeah.
And she is a human. That's the interesting thing. It's like
from some colony or some sort.
Yeah.
Well, I mean Khan is a human also, and he's
that's true. Yeah.
He has normal eyebrows.
Actually...
Khan just has normal eyebrows. So
that'd be interesting. I never thought of that there could be like some sort of like cast off or related to a super soldier.
yeah, like some augment connections or something.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen one out here on the Infinite Vulcan.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But we get some character interactions with her. Like her and Spock. She has that line: "Vulcans never liked them much. Cold-blooded critters, all of them." I think she would get along with Dr. McCoy.
Yeah, sounds like his line.
Or I don't know. Want green-blooded memories? No.
She might be a little too I don't know. I think she's probably like crude and rude, like this kind of like wild woman who lives out in the wilderness. Like that might rub McCoy the wrong way, but they could definitely bond over complaining about Spock, I guess. But I like the line from Spock when she says, "Do you quote anything else but statistics?" And he says, "Yes, but philosophy and poetry are not appropriate here." And she also she hits on Kirk a couple of times in the episode, but starting off pretty early into the adventure.
That was one of my favorites. It was
she goes on heavy.
We can make some green memories, and it's like I have plenty of green memories. She's like, "Oh." Just like this weird deadpan
yeah,
and they're in such a hurry too. They're scouting ahead, but they're gonna stop to make. It's like, no, you don't have time. As nice as those green memories would be, I mean,
the Flintstones,
lava coming at you.
Eternal.
If
you see Lara, she's got like the bone on her necklace and everything. It does look very much like the Flintstone.
But
that's what I think I mentioned that in the live thing yesterday. Okay. It is very, very bedrocky.
Indeed. Luckily, they don't have to power their vehicle with their feet, though.
Yeah, that was
especially with the lava.
I like the weather animation when they're like driving through the rainstorm, and then we get the volcano. So, Aaron, you've talked about this a lot, but Gene Roddenberry was very excited to get an animated Star Trek show because it could do things like specifically lava.
I don't know where he would have put it in TOS, but he would have if they could have. That he just didn't want to use stock clip, stock where it would look obviously like stock. I think the only thing that looks obviously like stock is the airplanes in Tomorrow Is Yesterday, and some of the stuff that's inside the Guardian of Forever, but that I kind of expected that.
Those look like newsreels,
yeah.
But that's kind of on point for that episode.
Maybe
that's what I mean.
Patterns of Force also, but same thing.
So it's kind of cool that he got to do this. I don't know if the lava looks that great, but it's there.
Well, it was all we're gonna get until Star Trek 3, so I had to get a movie budget to do it again. But even in this, like, you get to see M3 Green and Spock work together, so that's kind of cool. When M3 Green is like, "Oh yeah, I can rework our vehicle to use all the power packs and get us out of the lava flow area in one big burst, but I need you to help me. I need you to diagram the schematics."
This I just watched it before we watched it yesterday, but I watched it again today before this, and I noticed that the terminal he has connecting stuff. One of the terminals is called M3 Red. So M3 Green is connecting something to a terminal. M3, I mean, because it's the letter. It's in the subtitles. It's the letter without the EM, but it is, and it's more than one word. But it's the terminal M3
That's
Red.
funny.
I'm just like, oh my god! It's just like, I hope he's not M3 colorblind, because geez, but, it's such a weird thing for
In the novelization, they say that this vehicle can pretty much go up anything almost completely vertical. It's like that good. I don't know how, but apparently does. Maybe something
Unless it's
with
kind of wet,
gravity or
like later when it's kind of wet, and then it won't do it. But
yeah, no, that's true.
Kirk really doesn't have much to do early on in this episode. He just he pushes the rocks to help divert the lava flow. I guess to buy enough time to get the car out of there.
But yeah, not much on screen.
They did that in Volcano, Los Angeles.
But yeah, it's I guess it shows the danger of the planet up front.
The overhead shots are kind of cool because those it's not something we see often.
Yeah, when you get like that bird's eye, or I take that back, that Skorr eye view looking down into the vehicle. But it kind of shows off like what the toy would look like. Like, oh, you would be able to fit all your action figures.
5 action figures and maybe 6.
Well, somebody can 3D print this, I'm sure. Like, we should do that.
Viewers, get to work. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love one of these as a toy. What else happens with the lava flow? There's when it cuts to commercial break, there's that weird shot of the Enterprise when it cuts back, which I know they were like editing that just to be like, just so the kids know that they're watching Star Trek, as soon as it comes back from the commercials. But it's just I guess in the episode that does kind of work because we eventually learn that only like 2 minutes of time pass, so it's like the Enterprise is still there hovering, but like all this other stuff, all this crazy stuff is going on that no one on the ship knows about.
I think it's like one of 3 episodes where we don't see the bridge of the Enterprise at all in the episode.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we get just transporter room right inside.
Yeah.
There's that moment when Kirk tells Spock like, I can't let Starfleet lose one of its best science officers or something like that, and then Sword is like, oh, are you two just going to honor each other? What does he say? Like, you two going to argue honors? Yeah, that's what it was. But more wilderness, I guess it's more like snow blizzard weather after the volcano. So it's like a planet of extremes. You get like extreme heat, extreme cold.
I know there's somebody who did a review who's just, they were like, you just can't take this seriously because you can't have these type of environments next to each other.
Well, watch Star Trek 3. Speaking of Star Trek 3.
Well, yeah. It's a weird, that's the point of this being like the mad planet. It's like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like the planet is schizophrenic. Or like, I don't know, maybe there's like a better comparison. That might be ableist to say that. But yeah, it's like the planet has multiple identities. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be an ice planet, a lava planet.
Doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up. It's trying everything.
But
it can't pick a major.
Early in this journey, Char keeps saying like, "Okay, I'm gonna go scout ahead," which I guess makes sense because he's the Birdman.
He can fly,
around, right? But like, he keeps going off on his own. Like, okay, I'm just gonna go look ahead here. So eventually he turns out to be the traitor.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
And that they see their destination. It looks like I don't know, big.
Doesn't look the same on the top that it does really on the side.
Yeah.
Well, just imagine, a Tholian who's angled away from you.
In purple. It's a purple circus tent.
Yeah.
An M3 green. The other thing that makes me laugh in this episode that always cracks me up is just how pathetic he is. Like he wants to die out in the cold. He's just like, oh, just like leave me behind and let me die. Like he begs them.
It reminded me of Dr. McCoy in the Practical Joker when he's in the rec room. It's just like, just leave me.
Yeah.
That is kind of fit with Bilbo too. He just wants to be at home with his pipe and a nice hot meal, and doesn't want this adventure.
Yeah, in the book he said he wanted to get back to his home, and they like, don't you mean your cell? Like, okay, that's pointed and mean.
Yeah, because he's a prisoner, but or a convict, but
maybe he'll earn his freedom or something by doing this.
It just he
would have, but he forgets it.
I was gonna say, how would that work? That would be weird.
It's very mean. Vedala,
I think they just made him do it.
They keep telling him like one more mission and we'll set you free, but then they erase his mind. So,
oh, that's like a story right there.
But yeah, I feel sorry for him. I'm like, just let this guy die. Like he just like let him give up. But they need their lockpick to get into the circus tent.
Have we mentioned that it's the voice is David Gerald?
No, but he does a really good job.
Oh, sorry.
And he said that he was unhappy with the work. He said like, a couple of days later, I figured out I could have done a better voice. But I think like
he wouldn't show me what it was. I asked him like 3 or 4 times when I see him in person. He's like, nah, I don't remember.
Yeah, he probably doesn't remember, but
he might not actually. Yeah.
I feel like so many actors probably feel that way. Like after they do a job, they're like, "Oh shit, I could have done that so much better."
Especially this was his first real
artwork or anything. Yeah,
voice work. So
I actually at a Star Trek convention recently, I heard Max Grodinchik tell a story about playing Rom on Deep Space Nine, saying like he wanted it was a scene where he wanted to do a take again because he's like, I can do it much better. Like let's do another take. And Armin Shimmerman told him like, "Shut up, Max. They don't care. Like what you did was good enough. We're moving on to the next shot."
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
You always think that you've done like it's your voice in your head telling you that like, oh, I could have done better.
Yeah.
And like there are some people who'll be like, this was amazing, or like in improv when you screw up, you're like, oh god, I didn't use the right person's name or whatever, and then that just makes it funnier, and people are like,
yeah,
like okay, but it's hard when you're in it to see that.
Yeah, so when we see the circus tent, if we're going to call it that, from like a side profile view, it does look quite different than when you see kind of the.
It looks very crystally.
Yeah, but when you see like the bird's eye view looking at it, but maybe the circus tent also can morph its geography, like the planet.
Maybe.
But yeah, I guess Lara comes on to Kirk hard at the beginning when she's like, like. Ladies on my planet, if they like a man, they just tell them, they just say something. So I'm saying something and like, how do you find me? And then that's when Kirk does. And I love how Shatner does this. He does like the fascinating. I think that's how he reacts. But and then here, right before going into the circus tent, when they're like, okay, because the whole thing they were talking about like the danger of this mission. Like the last 3 teams didn't survive. This could be our final days. And then like right here, like this is like she shoots her shot again and gets turned down by Kirk.
Are you sure that's Kirk? That is a really weird, like, for people listening, it's like he's turning his head, but it's far away, so it's not really a lot of detail. But he kind of looks like maybe, I don't know, Archie or something. It's like,
yeah, it's purposely more simplistic because it's far away.
Yeah,
it does not look good when you enlarge it.
No. It probably on Saturday morning cartoons in the 70s, it would have been fine.
On the CRT and And this scene does not last long, so it's
yeah,
not like it's up there.
It never occurred to anyone making this that people are gonna freeze frame.
He sort of was more lower decks.
But it's like the same area that was all like frozen tundra. I guess it like thaws out quick.
But you got a lot of volcanoes, yeah.
So Kirk says no to the offer of green memories.
They don't have time. Like, I mean, they have a deadline. So.
She wants to make some green memories before she dies, but instead we get M3 Green doing his lock picking to get into the circus tent, and
he's got to roll against his thieving skills and see if he makes it.
I guess earlier in the episode, Sword thought he saw something or heard something like rustling around. He said in the bushes, but I don't see any vegetation on this planet. So.
The crystal bushes,
crystal bushes,
like behind
somewhere else.
Aaron. Crystal bushes behind him.
Yeah.
It's just,
we can assume that it was actually the purple robo dragons that are flying around guarding the building.
They don't look familiar at all. They're so unique to this episode.
You can get them really cheap at every space general store. So
yeah.
I'm not making fun of this episode when I say things like purple robo lizards. Like that's why I love it. I love that it has like this wacky shit in it. Like, but yeah, we've seen these creatures. They always look a little different in the animated series, but they always sound the same. It's always that same sound effect.
Godzilla.
It's in a bunch of other cartoons.
Yeah.
It was in the sound effects library. Yeah, they all had.
That I assume is what they wanted the Blizzard to sound like in this latest season of Lower Decks, and they just what Mike McMahon did, I think he just did that as like a temp recording, and then they liked that so much that they just like left that in there. That's my theory. We should have asked him that when we interviewed him, and we didn't.
Yeah.
But
we forgot the important things next time.
Well, yeah. Well, the Blizzard questions can wait till next time, I guess.
Maybe we'll see him at STLV. Who knows?
I was hoping that it would look more like this, so we go, oh, they're called Blizzards, okay, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use Blizzard as like a blanket term for all the winged beasts in the animated series that make that screech noise. But
yeah, I think so.
That's the genius of the species or genus. Yeah.
But Char gets carried off with one of them, so he conveniently
they don't look that big when you first see them. You think they're small, but
yeah,
you're actually dragon.
They're bigger than he is.
Yeah,
so they have like what 12-foot wingspans or something.
And earlier, I did notice too. You see Char pick up M3 when M3's hanging off the ice and Spock's got his hands while flying. So he's like super strong in flying. Because picking up a giant, tubby lizard, insect, roly-poly guy, that's hard for a bird.
Yeah, and he's probably got like hollow bones, so he's.
Yep.
I don't know. He
can
lift those heavy things. Yeah, he might not need hollow bones.
Doesn't mean that he maybe just a lot of muscle or something.
But he's like a warrior prince.
Every day is wing day if you're a
Skorr. There you go. Every day is wing day.
As long as you're not like the species that doesn't have wings. Then it's sad.
Yeah, some Aurelians. But when we get into the building, we get into the structure that's housing the soul that we keep calling the circus tent. And then this is kind of a weird thing in the animation where it looks like it's just like hovering above the ground, but they're describing it like it's way up in the sky. Like
don't they mentioned 1,000 feet or something, which is just they don't animate it at all. Like there's 1,000 feet, except maybe even across.
The thing doesn't even look like it has 1,000 feet in it. Like it would have to have a deep hole in the ground to do
like
that.
When they walk into the building, it pans over to the left, and then like you see it there. And it's clearly not 1,000 feet in the air.
Right there. Yeah, if you couldn't see the ground, then it would just be,
I almost wonder if it was supposed to be drawn without the ground there, and just somehow wasn't.
Just more blue wall. And just against the blue wall, it wouldn't matter. It all would.
See, if we're going to remaster it, that you could do that and make it a little bit better in that sense.
No, the original is sacred. We would never. No, just kidding.
You could clean it up. I mean, they did digitally.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it doesn't make any sense. It should be changed. It does glow nicely, though.
That would make more sense if you just did not have the floor in this building. Then they just have to like climb on the edges of the wall.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah,
because they kind of end up doing that anyways. Yeah, to get over there to it. So
I like that the soul of Alar is like 3 Mobius strips, kind of like different,
just like a brain pattern. Yeah.
It's both simple and complex at the same time. It has kind of a cool sci-fi shape.
It does seem like a symbol of a religion too. It's just sort of that simple thing that people associate with religion. So that part always worked for me too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
And we find out what it's made out of. They named the substance
Urulite or something.
Indurite.
Okay, I looked it up.
Indurite.
Not mentioned again in Star Trek. So.
Nope.
But it should be.
It should be, yeah. It's because it's interesting.
Star Trek writers, next time you need some exotic material that doesn't exist in real life, here's a great deep cut for you.
We're waiting. Hopefully you've written that by now, Star.
I'm sure it's right in like somebody's fan fiction or something.
Or beta canon. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, beta canon. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I didn't check memory beta, so
no, I didn't do that either. But
which I know is not terribly up to date because there's just so many damn books and comics and things out there. But when we see our characters approach the soul of Alar, that's when the big reveal, the big twist, when Char is like Fools, it was I who stole the soul, and I want to start the Jihad. I want my people to go to war and burn across the galaxy, and it'll be glorious.
He pulls a Worf at Ryza, yep. And
Yeah. It's very Klingon.
yeah.
So
Yeah, the
yeah,
Klingon,
that's definitely very Klingon.
Yeah, in TOS and TAS. This is more like the TNG and later Klingons.
And
it is in beta canon, by the way, and it's suggested that Quark and Grilka may have possessed something made out of Indurite.
Of course they did.
There
Good
you
on
go.
them.
Who wrote that book?
That would be it's called Love I Not Honor More. What? Okay. It is by Christopher L. Bennett. Of course, that makes sense because he's an equally big fan of TAS as I am.
That's cool.
That is cool.
So there's actually 3 or 4 references. That's kind of cool, and it's also in the Starfleet Medical Reference Manual for some reason.
Oh, I think I did know that. But that was Drexler and Mandel who did that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're
this metal is part of the transuranic series of heavy elements.
So, and apparently it has such exotic properties as you can transfer brain patterns onto it.
Yeah. Unless it's like gold pressed latinum, the brain patterns are in there, but they're not.
It's liquefied.
It's like, yeah,
housed inside of the metal.
Gold pressed soul.
Oh,
we get some interesting dialogue here. They mentioned if the Skorr do go to war with the rest of the galaxy, the warrior races of the Federation would face
which are
them,
kept in the warrior races district, and they're never mentioned again.
I mean,
I don't know who they're talking about exactly. I mean,
the Andorians,
yeah,
the Andorians, maybe. Who else?
Klingons are not part yet, and
right. But at least one other. They said the warrior races plural. It's a little bit of. I don't think we would write that in a line of dialogue if this episode's just 10 years older. But I guess the idea at the time was like, oh, maybe there's like a reserve of the Federation is so diverse that there's like a reserve of warrior societies just in case they need to go to war.
Just set them up against the Kzinti and then let them both duke it out, and then you'll be fine.
He is very expressive, like you mentioned before. Ch'Chara is like,
they really
his hand, everything. It's like he more than some of the other characters, actually.
Yeah, and they really did.
He reveals himself because he wants to fight them. He turns off the gravity so they can have a 0G fight. So I guess people can be up in the air on his level. He wanted it to be kind of a fair fight, I guess, to be more glorious. But yeah, I guess like the plot hole of this, we might be able to make it make sense. But
yes.
But if he stole the soul in order to start a war, why keep it secret? Like that should be like, it needs to be like public knowledge.
Okay, so there's when you read basically in the beginning, it says the theft has triggered a racial fury in the Skorr. They're preparing for war. And then it says, my government fears this, so the theft of the soul of Alar has been kept secret. So those two things obviously don't make sense together. But he's also proven to be mad. So it's possible that could have been a little bit of an indication. Or that the Skorr, or the soul of Alar has some sort of actual physical calming properties. And once it left the planet, everybody just started kind of going crazy, but nobody knows why.
But he hangs around it a lot too, so I don't know.
Yeah,
he's too far gone. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
if you remove one of those lines, like they actually did in the book, it makes total sense.
Okay, let me ask y'all if this would make sense. Is he stole it? He went and hid it on this mad planet, and he's just waiting until like the truth like leaks. Like the government did like this cover up. They didn't want to like tell anyone about it. They're trying to like keep a lid on it, keep it hush hush. And so he's just hanging out on this planet. And whenever the Vedala send a party of people to retrieve it, he kills all of them in like aerial combat like this. And he's just going to keep doing this until eventually the truth comes out that the soul is missing. And then it'll start like this big war. He just had to hide the fact that it was he who stole it, because he wants to be like the general of this war. He wants to be like the commanding leader, and if they find out he's the one who stole it, he would actually be the enemy, not the leader. So that would work, right? That would make sense, right?
Yeah, and he might know some people who are also mad that their race doesn't get to go around, killing people too all the time. They could be Skorr Warhawks, for a better word, and so there could be discussions that they want to do this, and this is his way of achieving it too. You can make it into like a techno thriller.
Yeah. On the flip side, if they do know about it, it might explain why the Vedala got involved, because it's such a huge threat. Like if they're literally scaling up to go to war against the galaxy, which apparently in the book, Kirk laughs at that. He's like, the whole galaxy. Okay, sure. And it's like, okay, that is a really weird thing to put in. It's like, everybody chuckled. I'm like, no, none of that makes sense.
Well, that's interesting because the way it comes off in the show is everything he says is real.
Yeah.
So they could breed.
But I think that was supposed to be like a little tip of the hat that it's like, this guy isn't all there.
But
or does the Vedalans really have to age to 40 before they can be warriors? And
an army of 200 billion like that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I would think you could do a lot of serious. I mean, I assume they have ships and torpedoes and phasers and stuff.
Yeah.
So 200 billion armed birdmen declaring war on the galaxy. That's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of fun to these big birds on roids, like Big Bird from
That's a lot of
Sesame
ships
Street.
though. Because Starfleet, after Wolf 359, that was a big deal. That was a big deal losing those. And then
I mean over 100 years into the Federation, I guess 120 years into the Federation, they're only on NCC 2000 with the Excelsior.
some of those are freighters and things too.
Yeah, they definitely don't have 200 billion ships capable of carrying 200 billion people, I don't think. But and I guess the Skorr, they mature quickly, they grow up quick. It's we can breed an army of 200 billion in 2 years. So
the other thing that we did for the Star Trek adventures was that because the Skorr and the Aurelian, that's kind of it's becoming the thing. They're like the Vulcans and the Romulans. That the Skorr were this, very warrior-like sect of the Aurelians, and they left the planet a millennia ago. And the only way that they could get their numbers up was using cloning technology and stuff like that. So that's why they can basically make people really quickly.
Cloners,
and then because they're birds, they probably do mature quickly mentally.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, they can hatch a large flock quickly.
Obviously, it's beta canon, but it's kind of fun because I talked with Aaron Waltke a little bit about that, Mike McMahon. So we just said it's kind of cobbled together from our conversations.
That works.
That's why we need more animated Star Trek someday, so that we can get that in alpha canon.
Yeah,
for the people who care about the Aurelians and Skorr. But
the Nova lore, which is what I put in there, is the flightless birds. Aaron said if there was a third season, it would have appeared somewhere on screen. I'm like, that's kind of cool. So it's for him. That's what they're called. So if I can get something into alpha canon, that would be really. I'd be very excited.
The anti-gravity fight. Kirk has that line. Spock, how long since you've worked out in null gravity combat exercises? And then Spock is like, "Oh yeah, just last week with you, Captain." So how can
the Vandellan made him forget? So
where do they do their anti-grav workout? Is there an anti-grav room on the Enterprise?
I think they could turn off the gravity in the rec room. Looks like it's big enough.
Yeah, like the room where Kirk taught Charlie X how to do a forward roll. All those people were working out. You could do some null gravity combat in there.
I guess it wouldn't have to be huge. I mean, you could, as long as you're floating, it doesn't have to have a lot of height.
Because there's not much you can do when you're away from walls.
Yeah.
The fight's over pretty quickly. Kirk just had to like hook his foot onto the soul. Like for some reason, Laura's lasso. She offered to like, oh, I can just like throw my rope around it, and they're like, no, it has a force field. But your Starfleet issued boot can hook onto it when a rope can't.
Well, it's hooking onto the force field.
Yeah, I'll allow it. But yeah, he grabs the soul. They're able to handle Char, and then Laura signals for them to be beamed back to the Vedalan asteroid
with their garage door opener. Yep, it's awesome.
So our ending is with a soul imprisoned. He's in kind of like this rectangular, like clear
Glass
container.
block.
But I like they take the time to say that he will be rehabilitated. He'll be cured of his madness.
They're not going to cure M3 and get him out of jail. But,
Yeah,
but the princes, they get special treatment, right?
They get a little bit more in the novel, and basically it's like we're gonna, basically change his memory engrams and make him sane again. It's like we know that you'll probably have a problem with this because of basically. I'm assuming it's because of the past experience with what was that episode where they were changing the persons that were they were criminals and
Day of the Dove?
what was that called?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of an interesting callback. And that may have been, I think some of these lines are probably in the script and then it got scaled back. So
I would always assume there's something like that for everything.
But I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, we're going to do this and you're probably not going to like it, which is one of the reasons they're not part of the Federation. Dagger of the Mind.
Yes,
Dagger of the Mind.
it.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you.
Day of the Dove would work for the title of that one too.
Well, I was going to call it Day of the Dove because they have the dove on.
Yeah.
I was joking. It's like somebody at Starfleet lost the battle with the client. Is like, keep making it bigger. You're like, it's going to look really dumb.
But before the Vedala beams everyone back to their ships, she tells them that none of you are going to remember this. And then Laura has that she's kind of like disappointed and angry line, but she says, "Goodbye, James Kirk. Too bad. Too bad we're not going to remember each other." Like,
there were no green memories to remember anyway. So
yeah, well. But then when Kirk and Spock beam back up to the Enterprise, Sulu tells them like, "Oh wow, y'all were only gone for 2 minutes." So weird time compression. But I like the Vedala being like this mysterious ancient
super
race.
Mysterious. Yes, yeah. I love that.
How many times have they done this? How many times have they sent Kirk and Spock on a mission and then made them forget all about it?
I think we need an animated series that explores just that. Star Trek Vedalan Mysteries.
And it's also interesting they're referred to as like the oldest known spacefaring. I guess it's like the oldest one who's like still in
around. Yeah.
But
yeah.
That would be cool.
We have a whole bunch of ones that are gone,
but if you were ever telling stories about any of like these like old ancient races, like the Iconians or the who's the people from the last outpost, the Takan Empire.
Empire, yep.
If you're telling like any of those stories, like if the Vedala were like around then, but maybe like back then they were just kind of like one of like the lower level races. But I like the Vedala. They were mentioned one other time in Star Trek outside of this episode that I'll bring up in a moment.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But before I go on to the Gorn Egg section of the show where we talk about those Easter eggs, in jokes, and continuity connections, did y'all have any other thoughts on the events of the Jihad?
Just one thing at the very beginning when they beam away, Kirk says to Scotty, he's like, in the events of our death, or he tells Sulu, in the events of our deaths, Scotty knows what to do, which is just like very sort of, they don't usually quite go that far. Usually I think the line is more like in the event of something going wrong or something, but they're like, if we die there, Scotty knows what to do, Sulu. And
well, in the novelization, they come back and Scotty was there.
Yeah.
He comes in and basically he leaves, and Sulu's like, "What was that about?" Because it was only 2 minutes for them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, here's something I'm going to tell you. Don't spread this around.
Yeah.
They're crazy, both of them. Kirk is just trying to keep it from you, and Spock is just too polite to say so. Which is weird, but it was funny.
Yeah. Okay then.
I like that we don't see Scotty in this episode because it's like, oh yeah, he's in the bridge. That's why he's not beaming them down, and Sulu is doing it.
Oh no, James Doohan didn't get a voice, and he went, "Oh wait,
no, he did."
I know he voices everyone. So he in here,
every character, even Kirk,
almost not David Gerald characters, right? And not the Vedalan and
Laura, not Laura.
Yeah.
But I do
because
that might
Majel was had morning sickness and couldn't do it.
No, that could be an Easter egg or a Gorn egg.
Oh,
this was one of the it was Jane Webb, or that's who's credited at least as Laura. But I really liked James Doohan's voice for Sword. I kind of liked him. It was probably nothing like Kirk figures. It was Jill, who was watching the episode with us in Discord last night, said that he sounded like Carl from Sling Blade. So
kinda, yeah. Nope. Billy Bob Thornton sounds like James Doohan in TAS.
There you go. So maybe he was channeling this episode when he played that character.
But yeah, so Jane Webb, like you were saying, was like she stepped in. And if you've ever seen Fantastic Voyage cartoon, she did the voice of the main scientist lady, whose name I don't remember.
Oh, nice.
It's been a long time since I've seen that one, but yeah. I remember what it looks like. But
she was doing surgery in 0G when they introduce her, and they basically come up and it's like take her, and she's like, I'm in the middle of surgery.
Well, let's go on to these Gorn eggs. Just starting off with the writer of the episode, Stephen Kandel. This is like the only picture of him that I found online. So
this is like unsolved mysteries, like pictures. Yeah. Like, this man last seen in 1971.
This grainy photo is the only thing that we have left of this.
No, he had like a long life. Like he lived like well into like his 90s, but just not many pictures on the internet. But he also wrote all of the OG Mud episodes.
Yes.
Mud's Women, Mud, and Mud's Passion, all three written by this guy. And then this episode, those are like the 4 episodes of Star Trek he wrote. So it's like one of these things is not like the others, but
well, he did about 50% TAS, 50% TOS.
There you go. Yeah, 2 and 2. And the another writer who worked on both the original series and the animated series, David Gerald. We talked about he voiced M3 Green. And this was his first, maybe only acting credit. He had to get his SAG card. He had to it's
like $75
join the
bucks
union
for the card or something.
Yeah.
I found a slightly better picture of him if you want to show that.
Okay, there's Stephen Kandel. So
there you go.
He's being interviewed.
That looks like the Sears Portrait Studio one. Much better.
It's not the best quality, but yeah.
It's better than the other one.
And there's the Vedala doing the scream to pull up the hologram, the roaring scream. But I mentioned there's one other time when Vedalans are mentioned, and that is in the Star Trek Lower Decks episode Trusted Sources. When Mariner runs off to be an archaeologist for a little bit, there's that line about Vedalan mummies.
Yes. So they get mentioned, and there's some world building. We find out they mummify their dead. Look at that.
Yeah,
and they come back to life.
And sometimes these mummies can
mummies
dig
all come back
up.
to life. Come on.
Yeah, in fiction it seems that way.
Yeah.
Movies too, TV.
And we talked a lot about how the Skorr and their connection to the other Star Trek animated series bird alien race, the Arrelians. The Arrelians were first introduced before the Skorr way back in yesteryear. We see that Aurelian historian, but they're not the exact same design. There are some differences. I know Aaron is very
if you look
much
this up on Memory Alpha, it connects to like a conversation with me and Brad Winters, and
you're quoted on Memory
I know
Alpha.
it's weird.
I don't
A
think you give me
wiretap
credit
recorded
for
this
it, but-
conversation of Aaron.
I mean, I guess because since I wrote a book about it, that's they can actually quote it as opposed to just a random person on the internet.
But one of the distinctions is that the Aurelians have what the term that was coined in that conversation was the groin plumage of feathers.
Yes.
Not visible on the Skorr. But the funny thing is when they show Aurelians in lower decks, they look more like the Skorr.
That's what started the conversation about them reunifying. So they're both now.
And the Aurelian, like, he's kind of a pencil neck. He's supposed to be like a historian, so he's more like kind of an intellectual, probably like like nerdy guy. And then Char's a lot more buff. He's like a buff bird. Yeah, like a thick neck, big chest. So I'd rather get in a fight with an Aurelian than a Skorr, I guess. But
these guys skips wing day. So
they look so much more similar. They're like, we're pointing out the differences, but they're still so much more similar than a lot of like Star Trek Klingons. We're supposed to believe like all these different Klingons are the same species, but like these two guys are supposed to be different species. So yeah, I like
the exact same color too.
I like the beta canon explanations of connecting these guys.
The same with like the Caitians and the Kzinti.
Yeah. So now are all the lizard races in Star Trek? Is Sword like a sister race of the Gorn
or the Saurians? And there's also that one. I mean, we don't know anything about them, but the kind of that proto Gorn. I don't know, like people on the planet in Bem.
Oh, in Bem, yeah, they had lizard people. Yeah,
that has spears.
The pre-warp civilization.
Yeah,
those guys always reminded me of
a lot of things. Civilization.
Dungeons and Dragons has a race called Lizard Men, and they look like the ones in Bem.
Oh, Jill's asked me what is the bird version of humanoid and
avioid.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
I made that up. I don't know if that's real.
Well, reptoid is a term, like people say
avian
reptoid,
races
or insectoid. So yeah, avianoid. We'll go with that. Let's talk about this insectoid though. M3 Green species showed up in Star Trek Lower Decks at Starbase 25 in an embarrassment of Dupplers. He was keeping people out of the cool Starfleet party that Freeman really wanted to go to. And then the last Gorn egg I got is the zero gravity fight that Spock participates in this episode. I remember, Aaron, it was actually you who pointed it out, but way back 2 years ago, when the last time we had new episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Is that 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2023.
Good Lord.
Okay. But the season finale that left us on that cliffhanger, Hegemony, it had Spock participate in a zero gravity fight with a Gorn there. So maybe the reptoids are more difficult than the avianoids in 0G, judging by these two episodes, but
they still, either one of them have to have something to push off of, or that you can't make yourself go. Just it's not like in movies where they start swimming through the air. It's like somehow that works.
You could do that if you had a atmosphere a little bit, but when the Gorn fight is like in space and like vacuum.
You need wings to move enough air to move.
Yeah.
So
maybe I don't know, because he's also really strong. I was gonna say maybe the Skorr from like a low gravity planet, and that's why like they fly around so much. But he's also like super strong, so it's probably not a low gravity planet. Anywho, that's all the Gorn eggs I got. Unless Aaron, there's anything else you want to point out?
I think we hit them all. Got lava from Gene and Rod being born, basically his interaction with this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the publicist went immediately from if they're recording this or something, and then they got a call, and it's like he called the LA Times to have them come and take pictures of the brand new baby, which is a weird thing to do, but it's like, so that was the first set of photos happened right after they recorded this.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel bad for
and we
Michelle.
could not use them in the book because they were $500 each, and our publishing company wasn't going to give us money for those.
No.
Thanks, LA Times.
I like
I can see that.
I like the imagery that made it into the book. So
thank you.
But all that being said, y'all just heard us talk about the Jihad for over an hour. So you know how we think about or how we feel about it. Please comment and let us know how you feel about it. You can comment on YouTube and Spotify or in the Tex-Trek Discord server. We might share what you tell us in the future, maybe next week. Last week we talked about the Deep Space Nine episode, The Assignment, the Keiko-centric episode, and we got some responses back in the Tex-Trek Discord server. Cassie Mack said, "Great to see Rosalind Chow spread her wings." Hey, speaking of Aurelians and Skorr, we got Keiko O'Brien in there too. So Rosalind Chow,
bird woman,
spread her, in addition to being a secret Pa Wraith. Spread her wings a bit and show that she's capable of. She really chews the scenery in this one. She has gotten like a lot of serious acting jobs after her TNG Deep Space Nine appearance. She's arguably
Club.
She's like maybe having more a big TV show stuff. Like she's in the Three Body Problem show and stuff. So
that's cool.
She's in the Disney movie Mulan, their live action remake. Wanda in Discord also said it was great to see Keiko given a meaty and interesting storyline, which actually gave us a bit of an insight into the coming showdown between the Pa Wraith and the Prophets.
Yeah, we actually learned a lot from that.
So that kind of a weird episode of DS9 ended up giving the show a lot of things that the writers would reuse later. On YouTube opinions no one cares about. I thought this was an interesting theory, but he says, did the Pa Wraith pick up on the feelings between O'Brien and Kira, I wonder? And that's interesting. I think that would have been a fun kind of missed opportunity line of dialogue if that Pa Wraith threatened to use that against O'Brien. Like I'll tell your wife that you really want to bang Kira and Julian. And Julian, yeah, why not?
Well, we all knew that part, so.
And then he also said, when I mentioned last week that we were talking about the Jihad next, he said, the Jihad, the heist movie, I'm in. So yeah, we can think of this as a heist movie.
Yeah.
They pick the lock, they're under time pressure, someone wants to stop and make green memories, just like a heist movie.
Yeah, then you get that kind of a betrayal thing in the third act, so.
And a lot of those, you have maybe too many characters, but it's okay. They all have something to do. They're all fun.
We even had cars, not a car chase, but cars.
And so now
Now
you're going to make this special announcement?
Yes. Okay. Let me make sure no one else emailed in. Okay. We are good. So
drum roll.
My cat is attacking me because he's so excited to see who wins this.
Your cat's going to go like this and announce the winner.
Okay. So 1 and 2. Okay. I have our 2 winners for 2 weekend passes to the Trek Long Island convention happening in 2 weeks, May 30th through June 1st. But our first winner is Ross Lossifson. Sorry about that, Ross. But I will email you back and make sure. But you have won 2 full weekend passes to Trek Long Island.
Awesome.
That's 3 days, right? 3 days?
Yes. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, May 30th through June 1st. And our associate producer, Chris Garris, and his show, The Transporter Room, also providing 2 full weekend passes. those are going to go to Ryan Vasey. So Ryan Vasey, you are getting 2 full weekend passes to Trek Long Island. I'll see you there in 2 weeks.
Congrats.
I will email.
You have to do a picture with Father Ian.
Yeah. Let's take a picture there. But congratulations to Ryan and Ross. Even have like the same initial as meant to be. So looking forward to seeing y'all at Trek Long Island. Anyone else who's there? If you see me and Miss Taylor there, please holler at us. We're going to do a couple of panels there too. So I'm excited for that. I should talk about that.
Father, you'll say what we say before every con. I'm going to take more pictures this time.
I do say that
to audience. We never really do. We mean to though, but
you know what else I say at every convention, Joel? The other thing I always say to you, I'm the world's worst multitasker. So that's why there ain't more pictures.
So if you win some tickets, take a picture with Father because he won't remember. No,
I tend to, if I'm
everyone
really
should
into
take a
a thing,
picture
I don't
Father.
take pictures. Like I will kind of just be in the event. As opposed to, like,
I have pictures of this. I have so many pictures of TAS being projected on the screen at last STLV. I took tons of those.
But just to talk about that con,
people, I don't know.
Just to talk about that con a little bit more, we are going to have Stephanie on the show next week, who started that convention, runs it, and we'll be talking to her about it. But the panels that Taylor and I are doing there, we're doing a panel on unpopular Star Trek opinions. So anyone at the convention, if you think you have an unpopular Star Trek opinion, then come share it at that panel. I have some of my own that I'm going to share. So we're going to keep it friendly. The point of it is to prove that I think no matter how crazy your opinion is, you're probably going to find someone else who agrees with you. So, but we're going to test
episode
that
is
theory.
Somebody's favorite episode. So it's
there you go, and someone's least favorite.
Least favorite, yeah, exactly.
I was thinking the other day how Stan Lee wrote about like any comic. He was like advice he'd give like to other comic book writers, but he said like any comic book that you write, a reader will pick that up, and it will either be their last comic book they ever read, or it will be like they'll go on to like read more, and either way it's your fault. And I'm thinking like, oh yeah, like anytime someone listens to like the Tex-Trek podcast for the first time, it's either going to be the last time they ever listened to us, or like they'll come back for more, and either way
all of the past 300 episodes,
or they'll end up on screen too.
But in addition to the unpopular Star Trek opinion panel, I'm also going to be moderating a panel with Susan Sackett. She was the personal assistant to Gene Roddenberry back in the 80s. So like
that's awesome.
Yeah, big like from like the 80s movies, like during the Harv Bennett years, like getting TNG started, like that last stretch of his life. So if anyone has any questions for Susan Sackett, some people might be unfamiliar with her, but go read up on her on Memory Alpha. If anyone has any questions you want me to ask, please let me know.
What did Gene say about lava? No, probably not.
I don't know if she's going to have any lava stories, but I'm really excited.
But if she does, you'll hear it here first, or at the panel. You'll hear it first, not here.
But, there's some big actors there. There's Terry Farrell from DS9, John Billingsley from Enterprise, and they asked me, they were like, "Father, who do you want to moderate?" And I'm like, I want to talk to Susan Sack. I want to talk about like the historical stuff. Like let's talk about like what was going on with Gene in the 80s. So, but I'm really looking forward to the convention, and Stephanie from Trek Long Island will be on the show next week. So if you have any questions for her, please let me know. And Joel, Aaron, it was fun. Thanks for going on this quest with me. Unfortunately, as soon as we end the stream, these memories are going to fade, and neither of you will remember doing this. But
that's why I kept asking you, like, are we doing? Like,
I wrote all these notes. I'm soon to discover. Yeah, and I have screenshots. So many screenshots.
Joel, this episode will probably always have like a very special place in your heart, right?
Yes, because I don't think I'm going to beat it for a single episode seeing it. It's possible, but maybe if one gets stuck on a Blu-ray and just won't shut off. it's on for weeks, but probably not. But we should say, if you're watching us live on YouTube right now, after this, some of us are going to be on Starfleet Sohail's After Dark program tonight, because he thought it was time to do one, what with Andor ending and a bunch of other announcements. So
yeah, so if you want to keep the fun going and the live audience, there's the link on screen now. But we're gonna be on the After Dark show with Sohail and friends. We're gonna be talking about the other Star franchise show, Andor, that just concluded. We're gonna talk about the that Superman trailer that just came out,
and probably some Trek announcements, like the date for Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, it's a big week to talk about some of the nerdy special interests that we have. By the way, people that are into Superman, I also do a Superman podcast. I don't do a very good job promoting it. I don't really promote it as much as I should, but we've been streaming live on Mondays as we approach the new James Gunn movie. And,
Mondays it's 6 p.m. Central Time.
We've covered the first 3 Christopher Reeve movies. We're going to be breaking down the trailer this coming Monday, and we're going to talk about the rest of the existing movies, like the Brandon Routh movie, the Henry Cavill movie approaching.
You still have 4, Superman 4 too, right?
Yeah, there's some of Aaron's cool Superman artwork on screen. So. But
it happened to me in my wallpaper, so I had it like right there.
Convenient.
No, you're prescient. You knew it was coming up.
Well, yeah, maybe. No, sure.
Yeah.
But next week, Stephanie Gangione from Trek Long Island. So we'll see y'all then. And until next time, as always, live long and prosper, y'all.
Subscribe to YouTube to watch the Tex-Trek podcast live or listen to us later on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Stephen Fothery on socials at TXTrek. Thank you and take care.